my friends, Jacob's here one more time, looking so darn tough. Every time I wear the meatball beanie, I feel tough. You want to see tough? I'll show you tough. Just a meatball. I'm in a good mood. Okay, I'm in a good mood. It's been a good day so far. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening that is, I should say, something that should give us a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of positivity, a little reminder that God's in charge, right? No matter how things look, all of a sudden, God can take a world leader, rip him from his throne in exactly 56 weeks. As I said, for Justin Trudeau, I don't know if you knew about Justin Trudeau. This guy, Justin Trudeau, oh my goodness gracious. Man, what a, yeah, I don't like the guy, right? I mean, he's not likable. He's not likable, the things that he said, especially during the virus of the crown and others. Listen, we don't even need to get into it. Let's just say that I was so upset with this guy, Justin Trudeau. If you don't know, he's the party leader and the Prime Minister of Canada. You know, Canada.
So I don't care what he says.
Sir, real fast, you were considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force. Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada.
Trump is going to annex it and make it part of this North American super powered nation that is going to compromise also Mexico and some other places. We'll get into that, especially after the election was certified by Kamala. We're going to talk about that. We got so many things to get into.
This announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected, President and Vice President of the United States, each for a term beginning on the 20th day of January 2025, and shall be entered together with the list of the votes on the journals of the House and the Senate. Thank you very much.
But I wrote about Justin Trudeau. I said, let's imagine, because imagination's faith. And when you have faith, if you say to this mountain, be cast into the sea, you could do it. So if somebody's corrupt and you say, oh, Lord, show the world that they're corrupt by taking him from where he's currently sitting, well, then, if it happens, it's probably a good call that maybe God's in charge. So I wrote this little post. I said, let's imagine Trudeau himself is raked over the coals for his misdealings. How about we put a little test out there so that the world knows and God corrects if they be corrupt? So that the world knows. It's and then he gives this speech. Take a listen.
Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night I asked the President of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option.
Oh man, it was ominous too. His speech, his thing flew off. It was the script is now, your story's over. Probably won't hear much more about him. We're going to hear a little bit more about Macron, which, by the way, his name means the mark. Weird thing about Macron. There was a historical vids on X was sharing a picture of him and his wife when she was 40 and he was 15. It's awkward. Right, the whole thing's awkward. But Macron, him and Musk, they don't get along too well. Macron saying that Musk is involved in, tampering with the elections in France through X. Having an opinion, I guess, is a problem today. Unless it's positive. Unless it's positive. Let's be honest. I just did the show. I hope you saw it. If you didn't see it, you really should, because it talks about the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector, and it's a great message. But the whole thing was about how on the X platform, people were asking, what's my X number? What's my X credit score? And today, X has cleared it up. They're not doing like a social credit score. I didn't think they were doing it either, but it was kind of perceived that way. All over, everybody was getting the credit score of a 38. 38, everywhere you go, 38, 38, 38, which sounds pretty terrible, and I was upset about the whole thing. So I even grilled Grok a little bit more today. I said, what's my score today? And he goes, it's 38 again. I said, well, why don't you take a look at my posts and then tell me? And Grok's like, we don't have access to that. So he wasn't really, I guess the Grok on my end was saying, basically, these are just generalized numbers of what they think you should get. 38. But Travis, that's right, Travis, I'm talking about you and Jennifer. Hope you guys are doing amazing. Travis, big part of the Israelite family on Patreon. By the way, it's next Sunday, this Sunday coming up, we're doing another Patreon Zoom meet. If you want to support the channel, and I hope you do, join Patreon. Every 2 weeks we get together over Zoom Live, $5 and up. And it's a lot of fun. And then sometimes it turns into a show. And we got a lot of things to be talking about, especially over the next couple of weeks leading up into the inauguration. But Travis knew to look up the number 38 and the concordance. That number 38 is a symbol of the process for which we're sanctified with fire. Now, what's really frightening and really scary is what's happening in LA. Right across the other big city, they call New York one of the twin wicked cities. LA is the other city, right?
So it's devastating. But what is most concerning to me is our first responders and our firefighters who are trying to battle this. There's no water in the Palisades. There's no water coming out of the fire hydrants. This is an absolute mismanagement by the city. It's not the firefighters' fault, but it's by the city.
But the fact that it's on fire is it's a big deal. 2 people are already dead. They've already passed away. Thousands of over 1,000 homes, over 1,000 businesses. I mean, they're lost completely. Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker himself had to evacuate. Mandy Moore, James Woods, who was very, very promoted here on the X platform. A lot of people love him. He was showing people where the fires were, how they were coming closer, and then he was showing people how his deck was on fire. Poor guy. Poor people, Well, not so poor, because that area is very wealthy, but I'm sure that other areas are affected as well. They say that Adam Sandler's house in nearby in Malibu, you got Ben Affleck, you got Tom Hanks, you got Steven Spielberg. All of a sudden, these terrible fires are being associated with fame and fortune, and it's not a great thing, especially when you have people like Elon Musk saying, "Hey, this could have been handled because if you didn't have so many weird regulations and everything else, they didn't allow for the controlled burnings of certain things, but yet spend billions of dollars on other programs that didn't do nothing." But the spiritual part of this story is nuts. Why is it nuts? Well, because on December 10th, I put out this post right here remember Daniel Perry, who had the Samson tattoo? Samson. I've been talking about the story of Samson. Kind of compared Donald Trump to Samson, the last biblical judge, the one that comes in and lights fire to everything. After what we saw with the Olympics, the one who was carrying the torch, I started telling everybody, you're going to start seeing fires pop up everywhere. I actually did. I put out a test. You can see it right there, where I said, test fires are going to start everywhere, starting in, probably in New York City and across the country. So now we see all of these fires playing out, because this is a big deal. This is like the end times. This is the time when, the devil comes down to sift us like wheat. I've been talking about this on the show. But it's interesting, because as we see these fires breaking out in Palisades, which, by the way, means defensed city. It's like a rampart or a barricade. It's in the scriptures a lot. It's written in the book of Luke. It says, when your enemies come and build a rampart against you. Well, it doesn't look like this defense city is going to stand. It's very weird, though, because the Malibu fires, that I was very concerned about just a little while ago, not too long ago. Now it's going to be a big thing again. But the Malibu fires, I thought, were connected to the Barbie movie, of all things. I don't want to minimize this terrible event, but in the Barbie movie, Ken was singing a Matchbox 2020 song, is right, on the coast of what seems like LA, and there were all these little bonfires that were just lining the shore. So I said, I don't know, maybe the two of them are connected. It's sad. It's sad that I'm using Barbie as a reference for this video on a very serious topic, but when God says the fires are coming, the fires are coming, which hopefully means something spiritual for us, because fire purifies. Christ comes as a consuming fire. There is some symbolism to the fact that a lot of people that maybe are a little ungodly right now are being affected by these fires. But you got to remind yourself before we start, saying, go get them with these fires, go get those big celebrities. You don't want that happening to you. And there are a lot of other people that are affected as well. What we want people to come to the Lord, and we want people to come together, and we want to stop seeing stuff like this happen. A lot of people are calling even these fires into question. My wife this morning, the Dan, says, look, there's homeless people that are lighting fires. And I said, well, Dan, you can't really say that that's what's happening, okay? Because there could be a lot of reasons why wildfires start, and the wind is what the big deal is. The wind, and they're out of the water. Right? The water runs dry if you go to the wrong well. It's a symbol of Christ. It's a symbol of ungodliness. The wind is the Holy Spirit, which Christ comes as a consuming fire. The wind, of course, the winds are going to push these fires elsewhere. Maybe if we kind of decide that, oh Lord, maybe I'll live a better life and I'll do better, maybe these things will stop. Maybe we'll stop seeing all the burning. I got a feeling that we're going to see some kind of world domination. If it's God's will, you can, maybe remind me of this down the road, because I got a feeling, that, if it's God's will when President Trump becomes president, so long as he's supposed to do God's will, otherwise bring us one that will, that he probably will kind of conquer the world with peace. There probably won't be any war. All these things that we hear about with Canada and everything else. And Denmark, and you even have Donald Trump Jr.'s son on a plane flying out of Greenland, and the video that he shows, there's a little bobblehead of President Trump as the Terminator, who was a time traveler. By the way, the whole thing is just interesting. But what's interesting is in the Barbie movie, she was standing in front of a map, this map right here, and as you can see, United States of America is much bigger. It's also the same color, by the way, as Asia. That's interesting too. So after Trudeau steps down, which is, it's just, that should give you a little bit of comfort, I think. Let's show the world, God, if he's corrupt. And it's obviously clearly, there's a problem with him. Maybe he's not really meant to be the leader that he's meant to be. Trump, as a little goof, he likes to put these things out. Our president likes to joke around. He doubles down on making Canada part of America. And now that President Trump's election has been certified, thanks to Kamala Harris, but she certifies the election, everything's done. It's an interesting time to be alive. I found it strange because the certification on the 6th, it goes down on the same day that WWE, of all things, is weird. WWE is premiering on Netflix. It's the very first live streaming show that's going to be recurring. This is like a big deal. It's about tribal combat. Roman Reigns is facing, but I said, how interesting is this that it's coming out on the same day? I said, I wonder if we're going to have some kind of a betrayal storyline. But then I remind myself of a video I did about Trump and Vince McMahon. But in this video, for whatever reason, I play it and I'm reminded of this occult ritual that it seemed like Vince McMahon was playing out. I learned this from a really funny, amazing, deep YouTuber named Professor Bulworth Smythe, who I've shared the links before. But in that video that I did exactly, get this, 11 months, 9 days ago, that's 9/11 backwards. The fact that I did that And in that video, I shared his whole occult breakdown of what it means for a person to kiss another person's butt. And that's what Vince McMahon was known for, occult ritual. And it has to do with the Templars. Take a look, because we got some really pretty awful things to talk about. Vincent Kennedy McMahon, man who was famously known for his, kiss my buttocks match, where he would take his pants down and he would force people to literally kiss his butt in the middle of the ring to demean them, which is actually sort of like a ritual in occult circles.
His 1865 study, The Worship of the Generative Powers, Thomas Wright explains that the initiation ceremony of the Knights Templar would conclude with a kiss to the anus of the initiate. As I imagine most of you, my students, know, the Knights Templar was an illuminated organization which operated from 1119 until ? In any case, that reference to the analingual initiation ceremony is here perverted by modern-day sexual sadism, more extreme initiation than the Templars practiced.
I find the whole thing just weird. Of course, maybe there's no secret societies, even though we know that there are. I mean, like, on record, we know that there's, like, organizations and brotherhoods and sisterhoods or whatever. I mean, you go to college, you can get involved in a secret society, for crying out loud, if you join a frat. I wouldn't know about that because I was never cool enough for any of that stuff, and I didn't go to no fancy schmancy school that had no skull and bones, But in response to President Trump saying we should call it the Gulf of America, the president of Mexico said very clearly that we should call this union Mexican-American or Mexican America. So yeah, everybody's renaming the new world. It's almost like my whole life was training for this very moment. So important that I come on here and talk to you about all the weird things happening in the world wearing the meatball hat. Which, by the way, if you want to support the channel, that's another way you can do it. You go down into the description of the video, you click on the link for more, go into the merchandise, and you can click on it. I even have a simple link for the meatball hat. It's the winter. It is the coolest beanie. It's got a little ball on the top, right? Don't you want to be a meatball too? It is cool. People always give me compliments on this when I wear it out, which is gonna be very often because it's getting so cold here. So anyway, you want to support the channel, that's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it, check this out. I'm in a good mood. You know why I'm in a good mood? Because I reached out on a lark. I used to have a literary agent long time ago. Before I was selling mattresses down the street from my house, which I love doing. That's how I got to know all of you, because this is where I built the YouTube channel. But I reached out on a lark and got in touch with him. And he's such a great guy. And guess what he's going to do? He's going to try to get me an audiobook deal. Like, I don't have to spend money, and I don't know what I'm doing. One of the reasons why I haven't had an audiobook in so long is because I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I'm not great with this stuff. It's just me here, right? So I even paid a guy to record it, and I ended up getting scammed. It's not easy, especially when you don't have a lot of means. But the audiobook, I know everybody's always asking for it. And I know that it would be so much more popular than even the novel, which if you haven't gotten a copy of The Calling, this is like the best. What are you waiting for? You should do it. You should do it now. You know why? Because if he gets in touch with them and then it looks like a lot of people are buying it recently, that'll be even better for me. But how great would that be? Even if it's like $50, it's like that I'd be able to have it, and hopefully all of you would enjoy it. I don't know. So pray that becomes something, because I know that this novel, this is really my life's work. That's why I started the YouTube channel to begin with, was to, it was all about this novel, this one book that I wrote so long ago that seems to be a book that is meant for today. What a time. What a time to read it. If you want to get a copy of it, of course, go into the description of the video. The links are there, or just go to Amazon.com. Enter The Calling by Jacob Israel. You should find it. Make sure it's this cover and not the old one from when I first released it in like 2006, and like maybe 3 people bought it. All right, I love each and every one of you. Enjoy this little trailer tease of the novel, and maybe you can get yourself a copy when the show's over. I love you all. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
The teachers teach for hire. The evangelists speak of either no responsibility or infinite fire. For gain they remain, for name they claim the truth while proving to be liars. And I, Lord, oh, I feel like a spider and a giant, seeking day and night and feeling like I'm never gonna find it. Because your truth, oh Lord, few seem to wanna buy it. They build out of the reputations they've killed a kingdom that will become a funeral pyre. For the behavior of those who claim to be God, I have truly grown tired. When will you show the world if they be corrupt they will be fired? Or else, how will they know your kingdom in this life? They never know until this type of behavior they retire. And I, Lord, oh, I feel like a spider and a giant,